I'm author Mark Muncy,
And I'm author Erika Lance.
and this is Eerie Travels. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers.
And we are here.
We are.
I think, right?
Yeah, I like how you said that. We're here. I don't know. Let me check.
Yeah.
No, I think that we're recording this a little earlier, but it's going to air during spooky season.
Spooky season.
I don't know why I just did that.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
We should make a whole spooky season theme.
Yeah. Well, let's call Destiny.
Yes, immediately.
So, she's not busy.
But Destiny's whole thing is coming out, and we have more news to talk about that. Okay,
our music,
but
that's later.
But we have for spooky season kind of an epic thing happening today.
Yes, we do. Yes,
and this epic thing was brought about by a contact that you had.
Yes, I have been on several ghost hunting expeditions with various paranormal teams throughout my years of experience doing this. But there is one team that has stood out as, one of my favorite peoples to be with.
I hope when we bring this amazing guest on, he doesn't think you've built him up too high.
No, probably not. But I would just say he has a very scientific bend to the art of ghost hunting. So I would like to welcome the Reverend Lord Dr. Eric Ordino.
Wow,
Hello.
that was a mouthful.
Yes, well, thank you very much. It is a privilege and honor to be here with all of you travelers. You bet.
Well, welcome. So for those of us that may not know of your amazingness the way Mark does,
Oh my goodness.
you want to tell us a little bit about your amazingness?
Honestly, I'm quite humbled if Mark is saying that about me. That is high praise. So
he didn't stop saying it. I'll tell you, to be honest, I talked about because when we started the podcast, we talked about doing ghost things, and I myself have had an apprehension sometimes about bringing quote unquote paranormal experts that do ghost hunting, because I watch the TV shows and I'm like,
yeah.
Well,
you've got to remember, and it was something that actually one of the times that Mark and I were actually together at a convention many moons ago, we actually did a panel on the difference between reality and TV and movies when it comes to ghost hunting and paranormal investigation. But yeah, my I've been doing this now for well over a decade, and was fortunate enough to get my doctorate in parapsychology almost 6 years ago now. Got that from IMHS there in Tampa, when Mark used to live in Florida. But that was a while ago. Got that, and shortly after that, due to a number of different circumstances, I actually am the Reverend Lord Dr. Eric O'Dearno. Oh, and yes, I own some property in Scotland, so technically I'm a lord. That's how that happened.
So. Lady, I own property in both Scotland and Ireland. So
you are a lady. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm a former. I put that on. I just went to Scotland and Ireland, and I put that on my ticket.
Yeah,
because they let you choose that, and I was like, "Lady blah," and I came through, and I'm like,
"You earned it."
They looked at me, and I said, "I own property in Scotland and Ireland," and they're like,
"Yep,
Americans."
Americans, yeah. That was mine was my reverendship came from the Universal Life Church, which for $5 you could become a reverend back in the 90s, and I think you do it.
Yeah, no, they do. I actually got that too. So
and for an additional $5 you could get a title.
You are the Lady Reverend Erika.
Yeah.
There's a lot of royalty on this particular podcast, which I appreciate.
Yeah, hey, I'm all for that. And my title, I paid the extra $5 for eternal philosopher of absolute reality because it was the longest one you could choose. So I thought that was.
You are not royalty.
I'm not royalty. I'm just the eternal philosopher of
Well, there
absolute
you
reality.
go.
Oh my gosh.
But
So-
oh wait, anyway, back to Eric and
Back
his,
to
Lord Eric and his degree in parapsychology.
What I gotta ask this question though, what made you choose to go down that degree path?
Yeah.
Did we have a blip?
Oh, I think we have a glitch. So
I mean, I've always been fascinated.
Oh, there he is.
by
Okay.
it. Been doing the paranormal. Oh, I got lost there for a second.
yeah, now you're back.
You're
So
back.
go ahead
It's
now.
okay.
We'll edit that out.
So I've always the paranormal.
We lost you again.
Okay, so I've always been interested in the paranormal from a ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh, we lost him. Pausing.
More.
Where's the record? Oh, he's back. Okay. And he's back.
He's muted. He saw it.
Yeah.
This is fun recording, Callie. We hope you're enjoying
Callie, we hope you're enjoying this and you'll be able to edit this.
Make it sound fantastic. Dr. Eric, we cannot hear you, so you have to unmute yourself somehow.
How about now?
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect.
I'm not muted.
Nope. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I'm not muted. Okay, so I don't know what the heck is going on.
Uh-oh.
It's the ghost.
It's the ghosts. Yeah, it's
It's
some
the
paranormal connection here. Uh-oh.
Real slow.
Yeah, we're here.
Here, try to take
my
off our
goodness.
video.
We'll turn off our video and see if that helps.
Yeah, stop video there. Does that help at all?
No, we lost him.
No, that's
Damn it.
okay. Go up here. Go up here.
Yep.
Stop the recording.
Just gonna pause it.
Okay. So, Eric, what got you started down this path from an education standpoint?
Well, like I had said, I'd been doing this for quite a while before I went into getting my degree. But it's always good to expand your knowledge base, always. Once you stop expanding your knowledge base, you just become stagnant, and that's never a good thing. But to get the degree, which was a process. I mean, it isn't taken lightly, but it is it was just one of those things that I really felt would not only help me as an investigator of paranormal phenomena, but it would also help me with my clients. And ultimately, that's what we really should be doing with paranormal investigation. But with when you have clients come to you, not when you're like when Mark and I had gone to the May Stringer house in Brooksville. It was a fun investigation. It was interesting, but there wasn't really any human interest behind it aside from ghost hunting.
I was going to say, aside from Mark's obsession with the May Stringer house, Mark
Well,
has an obsession with the May Stringer
I
house.
do. It's
and
the
rightly
most
so.
evidence.
And
But
rightly
of course, the night we went, Carrie stayed with us the whole night, so nothing happened because Carrie is ghost kryptonite. We've discovered.
Yeah, I unfortunately have the same issue. I am affectionately known by my team as ghost repellent. So that's
both
why
of
I
you there.
usually am the one
We're going to
staying
see
base.
nothing. As a matter of fact, all the ghosts, when they showed up, were like, we're going to be across the street, call us when they're gone.
Exactly. That's usually what happens for me.
So one of the things we kind of touched on a little bit earlier is what is the difference between the type of investigating that you do and what we see? I can't even say this with a straight face. It's fine. On like ghost hunters.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm not gonna, go hard on anybody. Obviously, they're doing very well for themselves on TV. But that being said, there are processes that they probably are doing. It's not exciting for TV.
Right.
So they may investigate a location for 2 or 3 days to get 30 minutes of footage. And even with that, they're only going to choose the juicy parts, the parts that are going to give them ratings. And again, I don't begrudge them that at all. But because of that, you've got an entire audience out there that thinks that the second you walk into a known haunted location like the May Stringer House or the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, or something like that, they're just instantly going to be inundated with all of this activity and all of these little shocks and awes, and it's just not like that. And don't get me wrong, there can be little pockets of excitement that go on, but for the most part, what we do for our team is try to get evidence that will stand up on its own. There are a number of different levels for that evidence, for digital audio or video, all of that. But there is a particular group on TV that seems to think that every little piece of dust that flies by a camera is a spirit orb.
Yeah.
And
we don't have to mention names because we all know who they are. So
again, I'm not begrudging them at all. God bless them. That's great.
Oh no, hey, that makes TV. It's exciting.
No, it does, but I think I don't know. I'm one of those people that like I look at from my own personal experiences and stuff, and then the people who've legitimately going through a hard or bad situation because of what's going on in their residence or business or whatever.
Yes.
And you get this idea of what ghost hunting is like I always akin it kind of to the TV show Supernatural, where they had the ghost facers.
Yes.
Like that about sums up how I see a lot of that kind of investigation. It's ghost facers.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, it's just like in the movies, where there's a demonic infestation in the house, and all of this stuff, this crazy things are happening, and it's all being thrown at the people of the audience in a 90-minute window, when in fact these things can and do happen. I mean, there are very well documented cases that go back even further than Ed and Lorraine Warren, even though in the modern era of paranormal investigation, they are,
like even Hans Holzer,
the Adam and Eve, you might want to say, of paranormal investigation in the modern era. But these events happen over months, even years.
Yeah.
But in order to make a good movie, well, you can't have an audience sit there for months or years. You got to squish it all down into a 90-minute format. So again, it brings that level of excitement to the audience, which is a double-edged sword. Like I said in my first book, Einstein, Paranormal Theory, and the Pursuit of the Paranormal. Nice plug, huh?
Available from fine publishers everywhere.
Well, at least Amazon and Kindle. There you go. But the problem with that is you've got, on one hand, you've got all of these people that are now interested in the idea of paranormal investigation because of movies and TV shows, even dramatic ones, even supernatural, in that regard. But on the other hand, they have this ridiculous perception of what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of note taking. There's a lot of documentation that you have to do. One of the things that I do like about one of the shows whose names we shall not be naming, but one of the things I do like is when they actually take the time to show you that they're going through their evidence.
Yes.
And that's fantastic, because that, an investigation might only be 3-4 hours long, but in that 3 or 4 hours, if you've got 8 cameras going, video cameras going, well, that's 32 hours of footage you've got to go through. So and audio and everything else. And that's if you only have 8 cameras, they've got many more than that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, and you had touched base on, again, one of those other shows that we will not name.
It's like
but,
Voldemort. It's the Voldemort of ghost shows. Anyway.
Well, exactly. It is. But it's one of those things where it's a shame that they really are going for that excitement, that wow factor, that shock, to get ratings kind of thing, because there are episodes and there are times that they really do catch some remarkable evidence, but it's always overshadowed because of their antics on the screen.
No, that's true. I remember watching one of these shows. I was sitting there, and it was with a previous boyfriend of mine, and he was watching. He's like, "You want to watch this?" And I'm like, "No," because they missed the boat, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, one of the ways, a lot of times, I personally feel, I have no degree and no education, but just my experiences, that spirits can communicate is by sort of sending pictures. Like, you start kind of seeing what they want you to see, not like visually standing in front of you. I might not be describing that well, but it's more like you see it in your head, right?" And there was one episode, they walk into a room, literally say, "Oh, I just got the image of blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait, is that a shadow thing over in the other room?" And I'm like,
yeah, you missed the obvious. Yeah, because it wasn't Hollywood enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I understand it. They're there to make ratings. They're there for the advertising. They're there for things like that. But again, initially, they are actually there to do what we do, and that is to help try to improve the human condition. Most of the time, like you had touched on, Erika, most of the time when people call us, they are at their wits' end. They are scared, and it's not like they can call 911.
There's not a Ghostbusters line like.
Yeah, not as much as we wish, but that's when they reach out to their favorite paranormal podcast or their favorite paranormal author and send me letters, and then I filter them to whoever I think is the best I can send, and that's Eric and his team. I are one of the ones I think I've referred a few people to you now, right?
Yes, you have. We actually had a remarkable investigation up in Ocala, thanks to you.
Oh, yeah, that one had all the things, and it's so sad they don't want any publicity because that had some crazy stuff attached to it.
That was one of the investigations that we really could only keep as research, because they certainly did not want the publicity, and I understand why. I mean, it would have probably crimped their
brand. Yeah, their brand, but also we were able to debunk
Yes.
of the stuff that happened there that they
Oh,
were
yes.
was
Yeah, and again, that's what you have to do initially is even in a place that is quote a known haunted location, you have to go in with the idea of eliminating all real world possibilities before you get into the whole paranormal aspect. Um, for example, the May Stringer house, one of the investigations we had in Jessie May Stringer's bedroom, which is what one of the little, it's a little children's bedroom set up with a crib and little dolls and all that stuff. We got a recording on our digital audio of a remarkable sound of like a little kid's flute, like one of those little pan flutes.
oh,
And it was playing this quick little tune, just like a second or two. And we're like, holy smokes, you know, we caught something remarkable here. But one of the things, like I said, when we went through our evidence, I mean, it was checking out. We had it on audio or digital audio, we had it on the video camera that was in the room as well. We could not pick it up in the room next to it. We did not pick it up in the room behind it. We did not pick it up on the first floor. We only picked it up in that room, except in the digital audio that we had up in the attic. And it was our digital audio recorder was up next to the window. And it was very clear that what we were actually hearing were the squeaking of semi brakes.
yeah, yeah.
But being muffled through the curtain and from the dolls and all that stuff and down by the carpet, it sounded like a
It's just like
Paradelia.
Paradelia.
It outside, it was it was definitely
It's like
definitely
you look at those ghost photos and you see the face, but it's really just some trick of light. But
Paradelia.
But
yes.
yeah, Paradelia, yeah, and it was like, and that's exactly the same thing. Only it's with your hearing, it's audible. So
No, I mean, it makes sense, which opens up a couple other questions I have, but I know we got to take a quick break, so we'll be right back, travelers.
Absolutely.
Eerie, Appalachia. Gear up for a frightful jaunt into the darkest reaches of the ancient Appalachians. Folks deep within the Appalachian hollers lean close to the campfire to share stories of the inexplicable with hushed awe. Monsters rumbling in the hills, strange lights darting through the pitch black night sky, horrible occurrences almost ineffable in their bizarre tragedy. Tall tales, you might say. Tell that to the Flatwoods monster in Braxton County, West Virginia, or the Goat Man of Louisville. Look into his humanoid eyes and let him know you don't believe. And what of those apparitions in Mammoth Cave's Corpse Rock, or the Satan spawn known as the Jersey Devil? How do you respond when confronted by these mysteries? From the metaphysical energy that swirls near Serpent Mound in Ohio to Point Pleasant's Mothman legacy, Mark Muncy and Carrie Schultz explore the dark history lurking in the shadows of Appalachia. Read by Mark Muncy, author and experts on strange folklore with appearances on shows such as Ancient Aliens, The Curse of Robert the Doll, and many, many more.
Destiny Beard, the lyrical soprano who will haunt your dreams. With her alluring melodies and intricate harmonies, this dark siren of wistful song shall capture your soul and lead you into the night. Check out Destiny's new single, The Haunting Is Over, with international musicians Sam Haines and Gary Bennett, as well as her other musical works at destinybeard.com.
Okay, we're back. Okay,
We are.
We're gonna see Mr. Poltergeist puller inner. So Eric, one thing I want to touch on before we get into like some of your favorite investigations and stuff like that you've done is you touched on this a little bit, which is perception, right? Because especially when somebody is already afraid, adding things onto the fear can be quite astronomical, right?
Oh,
like they hear something, and it could be very real, and I'm not saying it's not, but I think that when somebody's already afraid or they're already told there's a demonic presence in this house, like it's kind of the rose-colored glasses in the negative way, where everything becomes aligned to whatever that is.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
So you find that to be the case?
It can be. Oddly enough, the investigation that we had up in Ocala was a situation like that. There were two people involved, the business partners, and one had an open mind toward the possibility of something paranormal going on, and the other one was absolutely convinced that all hell was breaking loose on their property. And even though we were able to debunk a lot of their claims, or the one's claims, and demonstrate that this is what's actually happening, they still would not accept it. That cognitive dissonance is strong. Like you said, perception is everything. One of the things that I like to say is that belief is the most powerful force in the universe. And
Yeah.
it really is. Because
It
you
is
got somebody who's just profound in their beliefs, you're never going to change it.
No, it's true. I mean, perception is reality. A lot of people don't realize, but that's why you can ask, X amount of people. It doesn't matter whether it's 1, 2, 100 people of what happened during an incident, and every single version of the story is going to be slightly different in some way.
And
yes. Yes, absolutely. And in fact, one of the things that I've trained my investigators to do as well when we do the pre-interviews and things like that, is to actually look for the inconsistencies. Because if you've got 3 or 4 people that are saying the exact same thing, then that's a little fishy. Because, like you said, it shouldn't be the exact same thing. So, but yeah, perception, everyone has a different view of things, absolutely. And that can be raised by, how you were brought up, your religious background, where you were brought up in the Midwest, like some wonderful people that I just met.
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
You betcha. And
kindred spirit, my friend, kindred spirit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So-
But because we're from the Midwest, we are going to have a completely different view of the way life is and all of that stuff than someone from the Northeast.
mm-hmm.
Or someone from Florida. I mean, the idea of somebody from Florida who grew up there, the idea of snow.
I'm joking. Drag Carrie into it for that, Mark. That's well done.
Yeah, drag Carrie.
Yeah,
Carrie
it's not going to be a ghost that's going to keep you up later tonight.
No,
Your angry wife.
But no, yeah, Eric. So let's. You just mentioned your process a little bit. What is a basic process? Somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I've got a problem. I'm having some scary things happening in my house. Can you come help?"
Okay. So yeah, initially, yes, we would set up an interview, usually over the phone. If they are local, I usually would try to meet them at like a coffee shop, somewhere where we could just sit and chat out in the open, where they could be a little more relaxed, things like that. But again, we do the interview process, and much like everything in life, your reputation is everything in regard to the business world. So you have to be careful in regard to folks trying to pull stuff or trying to, get a catch you kind of or gotcha moment, that kind of thing. But meeting people one-on-one, doing these, I've done, gosh, dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews now. And you get an idea of where people are coming from. You can tell when people are actually really scared. Case in point, one of my very first investigations, and Mark, you know this story. I did the interview. This woman that I interviewed firmly believed that her house was infested by demons.
Yep.
Absolutely infested. I mean, she was trembling. She was like chain smoking, trying to calm her nerves. She was, a very sweet lady, but absolutely convinced that her house was possessed by demons because she had this horrendous smell happening now and then in her living room. There was a blood stain actually appearing on her ceiling in the kitchen. And at 3 in the morning, every morning at 3 a.m., she'd be woken up by scratching at the walls behind the crucifix that she had in her bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay,
That's everything you
that's a
want.
lot.
I was gonna say that's everything you want in demonic possession.
Yeah, that is a lot. I did tell her, I said, we're not exorcists. We don't do that. But what I can do is go, and if I can document this phenomena, then I can, if you wish, present that to the church, and they determine whether they're going to send somebody or not.
Mhm.
Without documentation, that's just not. They don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get there, and it was a very small group of us. We went there, and it was my first lead on a paranormal investigation. We walk in, beautiful little house, and I walking through the house with the lady that I did the interview, and sure enough, we walk through the living room area, and I'm like, wow, that is a foul stench, and it's a clean house, very neat, tidy, but it's a very foul stench. And I went, huh. I said, where's that blood stain? And she goes, oh, over here in the kitchen. I walk into the kitchen, and sure enough, on the ceiling in the kitchen, there is this dark red stain appearing in the middle of the kitchen. And I said, it's not leaking. It's not like a roof leak, something like that. She goes, no, it's never dripped or anything like that. It's just a blood stain. I'm like, would you mind if we went up into the attic? She goes, yeah, sure. Now, this is the middle of July in Florida. It was a big mistake. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. And so she goes, it's in the garage. The access is in the garage. I'm like, okay. So I go up, I'm in the attic, and I'm like, okay, so the kitchen's 20 paces back. So I'm carefully walking on the studs so I don't put my foot through the ceiling. And I got my night vision camera and everything, and I'm looking and recording. And I'm like, okay, all right, interesting. Okay. And I come back down, and my team had just finished setting up. I mean, we'd been there maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Oh.
And I went, yeah, pack it up, we're done. And she was terrified. Like you said, she was already scared. But then when I said that, she's like, you're leaving me? I'm like, well, hang on a second. So I plugged my camera into the computer. I said, I've got good news and bad news. And she goes, okay. I said, I need you to watch this. I hit play, and you can see me walking my, video camera as I'm walking through the attic. And I look, and I'm at the kitchen, and there's a big wet spot in the insulation and everything over the kitchen. Look up, there's no leak, nothing like that. I turn to where the stink and all the smell is over, over the living room. And sure enough, I see these blinking little green eyes and little bandit faces, and there's a family of raccoons living in there.
So there's the scratching, there's the stain.
Scratching, there's your smell, because they'll go to the bathroom over here, they'll eat all their food and throw it over here.
Yeah.
They're building a nest. They're scratching all night long, pulling the insulation out of your walls. You're just waking up at 3 a.m. because psychosomatically you've trained yourself to wake up at 3 a.m. and they're scratching behind my crucifix. It's a demon. It's a
Yeah.
So I said, ma'am, I have good news and bad news. And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, The good news is that you don't have a demon infestation and you don't need an exorcist. And she goes, okay, so what's the bad news? I said, the bad news is you need an exterminator and they're way more expensive.
Oh, yes, but way less demanding spiritually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your best evidence you found so far?
Oh goodness, that would have to be just on the southwest side of the Orlando area. There was a family whose brother had committed suicide, actually, up in one of their upstairs guest rooms, and the family just wanted to figure out what was going on. What is he still there? Why did he do it? Because he seemed to be so happy. Everything seemed to be going okay. And then, when they came home and they found that he had killed himself. Well, we actually did a couple of investigations there, but the second investigation we did there was quite remarkable. We had a thermal camera, and this is actually one of the clips that's on my website. But one of our investigators, Kelly, was sitting in a chair right outside the room where the brother had committed suicide. Now, we had no idea what the brother looked like, anything like that. We just knew this was the brother's room. This is where he committed suicide, all that stuff. And we had a thermal camera, night vision. Of course, it's complete darkness. And again, you don't need to have that happen. It makes for great TV. But there is something to be said about when one of your senses is diminished, the others become more in tune.
Right.
And if you've got a night vision camera, it's seeing everything anyway. So you don't need to visually see it. But it makes your hearing more crisp. It makes, your senses, your touch, everything a little more heightened in that regard. But you don't need to have complete darkness for an investigation. It does add to the fun, I will admit, but you don't need it. Anyway, we're doing the investigation, and my investigator Kelly goes, I'm feeling something really cold, kind of around me, mainly on my right side. And I went, okay, so I pull out the thermal video camera and everything. I turn it on, and I could see Kelly. She appears quite clearly in my thermal camera, as a warm figure. And surrounding her, like sitting in the chair, is this massive cold spot in the shape of a man.
Nice.
nope,
I mean,
I'm
the
out.
head,
Erica would hit the door.
I would have been like, and I'm done. Okay, bye.
the head, the shoulders, the arms, kind of like on the arms of the chair around her,
So she's
and
radiating
it was,
cold.
it was astounding. But he was huge. He was a big dude, and we did the investigation. We checked for, is it currents from the air conditioning, anything like that? It had nothing to do with that. So I checked just to see if it was maybe a thermal shadow or something ridiculous like that. Nope. I told Kelly, move this way. It didn't move. Move that way. It didn't move. Everything was right there. One of our other investigators handed her a K2 meter. As soon as she grabbed the K2 meter, it started blinking like crazy. So there was something with the electromagnetic field there as well.
So for those that don't know what a K2 meter is, that's those EMF detectors.
Yes,
Type things, yeah.
electromagnetic field detector. Yes.
Yeah.
Because as some people may not know, as humans, we give off electromagnetic fields.
Everything does.
Yeah.
Everything that's matter has an electromagnetic field, because everything is made of electrons. Everything. So and
Okay, doctor using science on our program. What the heck?
I told you.
What is that crap?
in some way, shape, manner, or form, yes, that's always the case. But 2 days later, we did the evidence review, and we had gotten some interesting EVPs, things like that, some footsteps, think that were happening, that the digital audio recorded. Well, we weren't moving, that it recorded footsteps. But I asked, I said, so your brother, what was he like? And she says, well, he really was the life of the party. And I said, okay. Was he shy? Was he reclusive? She goes, well, it depends. I said, what do you mean it depends on what? And she goes, well, he was a ladies' man. If there was a pretty single girl, he gravitated toward her.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Kelly was my only investigator there that was a single woman.
Mm.
And I said, really? I said, so was he a skinny guy? Was he little? And she goes, oh, no. He was like 6'4", 310 pounds. I'm like, so he's a big guy. She goes, yeah. I said, okay. And then I hit the record button or the play button on what we had recorded. And she was looking and she just burst into tears. She goes, that's him.
Yeah.
So he was still there.
Yeah.
He's still there. I said, so here's the thing. We asked a lot of questions because they wanted to know why. I said, we asked, why did you do this? You seem so happy. The family misses you. And we didn't get anything that we could use as a way to comfort her in that regard. But when we asked the question, are you at peace? We got a ton of K2 chatter, not just off of one of the meters, but both of the meters that were in the room. So it was very exciting. So we went back, we paused a minute. I said, so just to be clear, you are at peace. If you were at peace, can you light up the K2 meters again? And both of the K2 meters just went crazy. So
he was just hanging out.
Yeah.
He was just hanging out still with the family. He just, for whatever reason, just didn't want to be in that mortal coil.
And again, listeners, mental
anymore.
health is paramount. So
yeah.
So if you have the issues, call your local services.
Yeah. So in that regard, that is probably one of my, if not my favorite case, only because we could give some closure to that family, and solid evidence that the brother's still there and still loves them, and all of that stuff. But he was at peace and he was happy. He was okay. He wasn't in pain anymore, so to speak. And
That's awesome.
That was amazing. So you've got 4 books now?
Well, I want to ask one question
okay.
and then we can ask
Okay.
our books. So final question, besides going on about your wonderful books and everything, is what do you recommend for families that need help? How should they go about trying to find somebody like you or your team, or like, for lack of a better word, since you're not talking about other things, a reputable, I said that correctly, help for people in situations that don't know necessarily where to go? Because again, it's not like you can call the police and say there's a demon in my attic.
exactly.
I guess you could, but that's not going to go well for you.
Not going to go over very well. What I would say, it's the world of technology now. So hop online, use your favorite search engine, do your due diligence ahead of time. Don't just, go down the quote unquote yellow pages, see ghost hunters and call, because you don't know what you're going to get. But everybody has a website now, everybody. And usually on the website, like my own, we explain our processes. We explain, what we consider evidence, what we don't consider evidence. We won't do a seance. We're just not that kind of investigative team. We don't provoke, like, again, some TV shows whose names show up. Who seem like every single episode they're
Yeah,
coming at me, bro. I'm like, are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if a place is charging an exorbitant sum, run away.
Exactly. They should never charge you to do an investigation.
Yeah,
The second somebody says, oh yeah, we get $300 to do an investigation, I guarantee you they are going to find a ghost because
Yeah.
you're paying them to find one. And you can't count on that. We do not charge. Now that being said, if somebody wants to make a kind donation, we'll take it.
yeah. If they want to buy a dinner and a movie, you're in trouble. Yeah, you're not going to say no. Right? A guy's got to eat.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that was our May Stringer evidence. Was we had when we did our May Stringer? You said there was this strange thing you realized on camera, on the recording that I was carrying, and then we realized we had stopped at Coney Island hot dogs right beforehand,
Yeah.
and I had chili dogs, so that was the demonic
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
We
Your
heard
butt?
was my stomach telling me we want more.
Yep.
Okay.
You had what we call demon tummy.
Yes,
Demon
demon
tummy.
tummy.
I
Yes,
like
yes,
it.
yes,
I
yes.
like it. Okay, so
Um,
now that we've talked about Mark's gas, Eric, it goes off the rails on this show. It really does. Tell us about your books and stuff and where people can find you and your work.
Well, right now, it's Amazon and Kindle. We are working on getting the books done on Audible as well, but those won't be ready for a little bit. Hopefully, maybe by Christmas. That would be great. But right now, we've got the 4 books. 2 are my educational books. The first one, Einstein, Quantum Theory, and the Pursuit of the Paranormal. Basically, that covers our science part, everything from, again, quantum theory and everything involved with that at least opens the door to the paranormal. And again, by definition, paranormal means outside the normal. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything demonic. It doesn't mean there's witchcraft or occultism or anything.
Right.
Those are specific things. The paranormal is something that is outside the normal. And again, just pointing this out, 200 years ago, the idea of dozens and dozens of people getting into a ridiculously heavy metal tube and that metal tube flying across the country in 5 hours was paranormal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we like calling it preternatural stuff.
Preternatural.
It's exactly
stuff we don't understand yet.
Exactly. So there is that one. That one, very excited about. I'm actually re-editing and annotating that one because there is the possibility that a university may be asking me to do some work with them in their humanities department, kind of as a religion class. But I think they're looking at it as it'll be a lot more fun for the kids to learn about different religions and different things like that from a paranormal standpoint than just sitting in a lecture hall listening to the professor drone on and on and on and on.
I agree 100%. I'd take that class.
So
Absolutely.
hopefully that pans out. The second book is actually a fiction book. That's the Parapsychologist, which, as you might imagine, is a psychologist that actually sees ghosts. And adventure / love story / paranormal adventure happens. So it's pretty exciting. That one takes place in Savannah, Georgia.
Very cool.
Perfect place.
Yeah.
The third book that is coming out is another fiction. That is out is another fiction called Ushabti, it is based actually in Brooksville. And the
nice.
May Stringer house does appear in it.
Oh,
Hey,
very cool. Now
I'm in.
Mark's gonna have to go buy it immediately.
Pre-ordering now. Pre-ordering now.
So that's an adventure. That's a big one. And then my last one is my second educational book called The Psychic Paradox. And basically covers again the scientific aspects, opening the doors to the possibilities of psychic phenomena. And the paradox actually comes in to having that grounded scientific background and yet still being open to the wonders that are out there in the universe. And not just being a complete cynic and skeptic or debunker that, all they're trying to do is the gotcha moment kind of thing. Or the other person who, oh yes, I totally believe in psychic phenomena. Here's my crystals. Let me smudge you with some sage. And you're like, whoa, hang on.
The ghost version of that. What is that smell?
Yeah.
From the TV show Ghosts. I love that. They're like,
yeah.
what is that smell?
Yeah.
Yes. Which is a hilarious show.
Yes.
And again, one of those shows that definitely gets people interested in the paranormal.
That's the plus. The plus is there is, this interest level now at an all-time high. I think, we got to go back to Victorian spiritualism to have the interest levels we have now.
No, I think it's great. I just wish that when something was good, it doesn't all go in that direction and the other side is not talked about as much. And that's what I think needs to change.
Right.
But Eric, because we're going to run out of time here shortly, where can people find you? What's your website?
The website is mementomoriparanormal.com. I know it's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but we'll include it in the show notes because that'll make it easier for people to click on.
And we'll put some of the book links there too. So,
yes, absolutely.
And Eric, thank you again so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Spooky season. I know you're.
Can't wait.
I know it's a busy time for you. So
yes.
If I get anything sent my way that might be of interest, I'll send it down your way as always. So.
And then next time Mark's down anywhere near Brooksville, go to the May Stringer house with him again, minus Carrie. So the lodestone doesn't
maybe we'll only have half a lodestone then. So but anyway, thank you again for listening, everybody. Listeners, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Have their friends tell friends, and let's get up there. Paranormality Magazine. If you go to paranormalitymag.com, you can vote for us to be in the top 10 paranormal podcasts. We've been up there 2 months in a row, going on 3. So we'd like to climb the rankings a little bit. So,
always wants to be number 1.
We gotta be.
We are number 1.
In our hearts, we are. So
that's true. And Eric, it was fantastic having you.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. If I may, real quick, I will be making an appearance for the first time in a while after some major health issues, but I'm going to be at Spooky Empire in Orlando, Florida at the end of October.
Oh, good. That's one of our favorite cons. It's a lot of fun to go to. So, but sadly we won't be there this year, but we definitely have fun there. It's a great experience. So you're going to be part of the creators track there, I assume?
Yes, I'm part of the creators track this year, and very exciting. So if anyone wants to come by and say hi, I will have some books there to sign for everyone, and hopefully we can have some wonderful conversation like we just had with Mark and Erika.
We will absolutely, we'll throw it out there so people can sign up and go see you. That would be awesome. Get signed books and everything. Yeah.
And for everybody else out there, we will just say when you're going out at night, listen for strange things, but remember, you don't always have to see it in the dark.
Can you stop trying to creep people out? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, he was just saying you can go sunning anytime.
Yeah, go everywhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, and but otherwise, we'll see you on the other side.